Good afternoon. It is 12 noon on Monday, April 7th, 2025 for the Borough Assembly regular meeting. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jay,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Donna,
Here.
Bob,
Here.
Rob,
Excused?
James.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's now time for the voluntary pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item on the agenda is that we have a Board of Equalization. We had 30 appeals from
Donna, I'm sorry, the oath.
Oh,
I
yes, ma'am.
apologize.
Sorry. Yep. Thank you. Oath of office. Clerk Thompson will give the oath of office to Becky Regula, who is the new Petersburg Borough Clerk, Human Resources Director. Clerk Thompson is retiring on April 30th, and we wish to congratulate both of you on new chapters in your life.
Thank you. It's hard for me to believe, but I've been working for the borough for 20 years, 15 of those years in the clerk's office. I'd like to sincerely thank Manager Giesbrecht, my co-workers at the borough, all assembly members, past and present, and all Petersburg residents for allowing me the opportunity to be your borough clerk and human resources director. It's been a true adventure. Working in the clerk's office is never boring. We were lucky enough to hire Becky Regula in the position of Human Resources Officer Deputy Clerk nearly 4.5 years ago. Becky is organized, compassionate, a natural problem solver, and she loves to learn. All good traits in a municipal clerk. She has already obtained her Certified Municipal Clerk designation and the Society for Human Resources Management's Certified Professional Credential. She will be a fabulous clerk and human resources director for Petersburg. It is with a full heart and much pride that I administer the oath of office as Borough Clerk, Human Resources Director for the Petersburg Borough to Becky Regula. Becky, do you solemnly affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Alaska and the ordinances of the Petersburg Borough, and that you will honestly, faithfully, and impartially perform the duties of Borough Clerk, Human Resources Director for the Petersburg Borough, Alaska, to the best of your ability? I will. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you, and I'd also like to, thank you, recognize our new, Human Resources Officer and Deputy Clerk, Tiffany Glass. Welcome, Tiffany. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you. Now we will move on to the Board of Equalization. For this year's property assessments, we've had 30 appeals from 23 appellants. 28 appeals have been resolved and withdrawn. The first one that we have is a report on a partial senior citizen property tax exemption for Vera Gudima. Vera Gudima has a 50% senior citizens tax exemption on her property because of split ownership on the deed. A quitclaim deed provided on 3/31/2025 transferred ownership to Vera Gudima solely, and there's a copy attached. She's now eligible for 100% of the senior citizen tax exemption. Could I get a motion, please?
I would move to approve the full senior tax exemption for Vera Gudima.
A second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Comments? All right. Hearing none. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mark,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion passes 6-0. Next, we have the order of appellants. We have one, Heather O'Neill, Appeal 2025-03, Parcel 01-010-758. For the order of the hearing, each person has 3 minutes apiece. Heather O'Neill, is she on?
She is not on Zoom.
Okay. Thank you. So in that case, we have her attached paperwork to read. Do we need to go through that? How would you like to proceed? What would be the best?
I believe that the assessor can get up and just explain his thoughts.
Perfect, thank you. So in that case, Mr. Martin Scolas, you may state your case.
Thank you. I apologize, Mike Renfro couldn't be here. He had a good excuse not to be here today. He's recovering from a surgery. So I'll be covering him. For this appeal, the main argument, I kind of will represent property owner a little bit. Property owner's argument was that the lot should be assessed at the similar rate as all the Skylark properties on the backside, which doesn't have an access. As we can see on my attached map on page 18, the lots that are valued at $1.20, those lots does not have any access or utilities. And that was one of the main reasons for the property owner to appeal. And the appeal is only for the land value. And that was the argument. Our argument was that, you know, we cannot assess lots that does not have any access or utilities at the same rate versus lots that do have access and utilities, which in this case, there is access easement, which you can see on the page 11, which was one of my questions to the property owner, if there is any access restriction. In this case, there isn't, because the legal access would be from the backside, but since in this case, there is access and utility easement, so therefore the access comes from the Nordic Drive. We have already assigned adjustment for topography and for the creek, since a portion of the property is within the creek, especially on the high tide. So we have made that adjustment as well. And as you can see still on page 18, I have selected all the lots from in close proximity, so you can see how the lots are assessed per cost per square footage. So this lot is at 272, which is quite a bit lower than the lots that are right off the Nordic Drive, partially due to view and being a back lot. So this one is assessed a little bit lower. And then it's still assessed a little bit higher than the lots that from the Skylark that do not have any access or utilities. We have also selected, you know, kind of confirmation whether the assessed value is supported by sales. So in this case, we have selected 3 sales, which one sale is 1111 South Nordic Drive, very close to the subject property. We can see on the page 18, it's highlighted in red, kind of on the bottom left corner. So that property actually sold here 3 years ago for $175,000. There was a little cabin, which had a very minimal value. Then we have 2 more sales. One is at Airport Edition, raw land, sold for $65,000. And then another lot out in Severson subdivision, also raw land, sold for $47,500. Both lots are quite a bit smaller. Subject property is close to half an acre. But as we can see from the sales, those 2 lots are selling between $498 to $530 per square foot for raw land at the time. And the comparable that's close to the subject property sold for $15 per square foot, a little bit over 15, which that's somewhat considered. There might be a little bit of view, which is kind of hard to tell because across the road there's trees, so you might have limited water view for that lot. And the subject property is assessed at 271. As we can see from the map, that it's consistent with other lots, even lower than other similar lots with the access and utilities. And so our recommendation was no change in assessed values. Like I said, there's already a discount for the slough right next to it. And this property does have access, and there's, you know, that's kind of important once you're, in this case, if you would be selling the property, the future potential buyer would question always the access. And in this case, there is access easement, so there wouldn't be any problems with that. So our recommendation was to no change for the land value. Thank you.
For that. Are there any questions to Mr. Onscolis?
Not necessarily a question, but as I'm reading through and been through this process several times, and maybe for those sitting here and don't know the process, you know, the appellant is not here to rebut this, and given the burden of proof is on the appellant, I don't have any questions because he's laid out the facts as is, and that strikes me as what the information we have to work with making our decision. So no questions.
I guess I do have a question myself, and that is, it seems like there was no change. And if I'm reading this, I just had a quick chance to look at this. But within the last year, then it changed. No other developments had been done to the neighboring properties as well as the appellant's subject and, you know, property in question. But now all of a sudden we do. Why would there be a change if there hadn't been any more developments, whether it's access or whatever, and now there's change?
There's a question for the subject property or for the other property?
The subject property.
There was actually only a $200 change in assessed value for this year. So almost, yeah,
Yeah,
no
right.
change comparing to last year.
It's minimal. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I got a question. So all these other raw properties that are around the property owner that's appealing this, why did they go down so much?
Why their per square footage is much lower than anybody else, or?
But she's showing on her graph here, like this top one. The 2024 assessment was 37,400. And this year's assessment is 19,800, which is 17,600 less than the previous year. Why would there be such a drop? And it seems to be the case for all the properties that she lists that are around her.
Yes, those are the lots around the Skylark with no access. And since we had more information available in last year, so we reviewed those values. So they actually came down because there's no access and utilities. And as we learned about the costs, how expensive it is to put in access. So those values, those and also other lots around the town that does not have access. Not all of them, because there's different regulations per code, how you have to put in utilities and roads, depends where you are in town. So those lots all were reviewed that does not have access. And that's,
So what formula or what information did you get in the last year that would change the formula?
we had more sales for lots with no access, very comparable sales.
So you basically just reevaluated all the lands that have for raw property then, with no
Right.
access.
Most of them, yes.
Hence, this is why she's looking at everything around her, and even though it's kind of apples and oranges, it's kind of hard to take when all your neighbors, even though it's just raw land, have a substantial decrease in property tax and yours went up.
Yes, yes. So in this case, yeah, those ones came down since we had them valued a little bit too high on the higher end last year, so we reviewed them. And then other lots in town, again, depending on location, since you have different code regulations, how you have to put in access with utilities and all sorts of things, so those ones also changed.
So in light of that, then with this additional information, even though all other things remained the same, her property went up slightly
By $200.
by
yeah,
$200,
so
whereas
almost.
everyone else's went down simply because of the lack of access.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can clerk please cut me off? I'm doing this wrong. I would move to leave the value as assessed. Is that a proper motion for this? Cool. I'd make that motion.
A second?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second.
Just to clarify, as assessed at the 2025 assessment.
Correct. Yeah, thank you. And just to clarify now, given the burden of proof again is on the appellant, and I don't think that burden has been met to say they were unjustly charged. I think property value is going up around town. That is consistent with it. I empathize with the appellant for all the reasons stated. When you see property values around you go down. But as we were just discussing, it was an access thing, and I don't think it meets the burden of proof for changing the evaluation. That's all.
No further discussion? Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jay,
Yes,
Scott,
got confused.
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have the second one. The appellant is Heather O'Neill, Appeal 2025-04, Parcel 01-031-516. Again, we have documentation presented by the appellant in the packet. And this property is 115 Mill Road. So therefore, I guess, Mr. Unscullis, would you state your case there, please?
Yes, so this property was the similar as previous property we discussed over many emails, probably about 20 emails back and forth. And so the property's owner's argument is that there's one property which is valued less as the subject property, which is subject property is 115 Mill Road, and the comparable property that property owner used was 127 Mill Road. So these lots we have valued based on whether there's fill or no fill or partial fill, which the question is, what's the difference between filled lots versus unfilled lots or just raw land, which it's hard to tell. It depends on the needs, on the buyer needs, what's the purpose of purchase, whether it's just building a shop or storing fishing gear or boats or anything else. So our kind of research shows the lots with the fill, again, depending on the needs, might sell up to 30-40% more versus raw land. In some cases, I talked with property owners. Some property owners didn't had any premium for fill. Again, depends how much fill is in the lots. So in this case, the property we had estimated based on the appeal in the previous year, it's about 1/3 filled. That's where all the fishing gear is being stored. And then comparable property that property owner used is 127 Mill Road. That's where all the logs and the old mill is. And that lot is, I can't really tell whether it has any fill or it's mostly just leftovers from the logging and from the sawdust, which in that case, actually lots are worth a little bit less because you'll have to remove all that to either build something or you can just use fill on top of that. But so that lot as comparable, we had valued as no fill because there's no fill. We have a couple sales that we have listed. Actually, one of them is right next to the subject property for fully filled lot. The same size was $115,000 vacant lot. And then we have two more sales for smaller lots, anywhere between $55,000 and $75,000. Currently, lot is assessed at $44,500, which 1/3 or 4,655 square feet is filled, and 13,965 is with no fill. And we have a map of sales attached on page 30, and also a map with the values is attached on the same page. And the subject lot we're looking at is
Sorry.
subject lot we are looking at is currently valued at 239 per square foot, which is, if you're looking at the map, it seems like it's one of the lower assessed lots. That's the reason, because the portion of the lot is filled, portion is not, and then the lots that are assessed at the higher rate are fully filled. On the lots that are assessed at lower rate, does not have any fill at all. So looking at the sales and how the lots are assessed, we think it's consistent, and our recommendation was no change in assessed value, just because it's supported by sales. Actually looking at sales seems like it's still quite a bit below what the sales rate is, and also looking at assessed values, it appears it's assessed consistently with all the other lots, and these lots are more or less all the same. The only difference is that some are fully filled, some are partially, and some is just a raw land. Thank you.
So do we need a motion, I guess?
Would move that there be no change to assessed value.
Second.
I think we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? None? Clerk, would you please call the roll?
James,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Motion passes 6-0. Next, we have approval of minutes for March 17, 2025 Assembly Meeting Minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
I motion to approve the previous minutes.
Second.
Right, motion from Member Valentine, second from Member Stanton Gregor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have amendment and approval of meeting agenda as presented.
I would move to approve the meeting agenda as is.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have public hearings. There are none. Bid awards, likewise, there are none. Then we have persons to be heard related to agenda. Anyone wishing to share their views on any item on today's agenda may do so at this time. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Thank you. Please limit
Hello.
yourselves to 5 minutes.
Thank you. Harbor Master Gloria Ann Wallen, just hoping that you will move forward with the marine industrial overlay, which is under new business B ordinance 25-04. Harbor Board and staff has been working hard on this, and from over a year ago, hoping that the assembly will recognize the value of keeping a marine industrial overlay to keep precious waterfront available for the support industry for our marine customer base. I also wanted to maybe comment on what will some consider as maybe limiting the said value of this waterfront through this marine industrial overlay, but it will probably eventually keep costs reasonable for future industry rather than speculators looking to purchase and develop and with waterfront that doesn't have any limitations to it. So we're not unique in being a waterfront community that does this. We have examples elsewhere. So I just hope that you will move this forward, and next meeting would be the public testimony period, that if people were, want to have a say in it, that you'd make that available. So let's just keep moving this forward. Thanks.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Please bear with me here. I'm on a few hours of sleep, night shifter type guy right now. My name is Drew Harrison. I serve as a patrol sergeant with the Petersburg Police Department. I'm here today to speak on my own behalf and share some thoughts on an agenda item I believe is critically important, the future of the department's K-9 program. My goal is to offer perspective and open a conversation about the direction the program might take, how it can be implemented to best serve our community, and what potential impacts it may be. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge the dedication and tireless work for our patrol officers and medical personnel. These professionals have logged countless hours addressing the ongoing alcohol and drug issues in our city. Thanks to their efforts, drug activity in Petersburg has largely been reduced to a small, isolated group of individuals. These officers are the front lines in our fight against substance abuse in our community. I would wager that everyone in this room has been affected by addiction in one way. We've all felt or lost or witnessed the struggle that comes with alcohol and drug abuse. Some have been impacted more deeply than others may even ever know. While many communities deal with significant drug trafficking issues, Petersburg is primarily a user-rent community, not a distribution hub. Our users aren't pushing fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, or heroin in our local schools. They're using within limited circles. That distinction is important when evaluating both the need for and the structure of a K-9 program. As we all know, those struggling with addiction will always find a way to feed their habit. The proposed K-9 program would be funded through a variety of sources and is intended to serve as a regional resource. The concept includes deploying the handler K-9 to neighboring communities in narcotics interdiction while also serving our community, which is proven effective elsewhere in the state. This approach reduces routine visibility of a K-9 team in a single area, making it harder for criminal elements to anticipate their presence, ultimately increasing the effectiveness of the program. In which case, I'll pose this question: how effective will a K-9 unit be in our small town if they always know where it's at? However, K-9 programs come with the logistical and financial demands. Traditionally, K-9s are most effective in areas with higher levels of drug distribution, known as drug hubs. The current proposal includes a dual-purpose dog trained in both narcotics detention and suspect apprehension by biting, also a breed like a Belgian Malinois. While these dogs are capable of improving law enforcement, there are less aggressive breeds such as Labradors, Golden Retrievers, German Short-Hair Pointers, Beagles, and Hounds that are equally skilled in their detection work. Many federal agencies, including TSA, Homeland Security, the Coast Guard, and DoD components, now use these breeds in non-apprehension roles, particularly in detection, search, and rescue operations. These breeds tend to be more approachable, community-friendly, and less of a militarized image. Breed selection also has physical implications. While working breeds like the Malinois may have fewer long-term health issues, they are still immune to hip dysplasia, which can occur more frequently in other breeds. The average service life of a detection dog is about 6 to 9 years, so health is a factor, but it shouldn't be a deciding one. If the Assembly chooses to move forward with the K-9 program, I would support the use of a non-aggressive narcotics detection K-9 with search and rescue capabilities for our community, not the bite-trained dog pictured in the Assembly packet with the muzzle on that you see before you. My concerns, however, remain. With potential staffing cuts on the horizon, can a K-9 handler still effectively respond to routine calls for service? Will their absence while being farmed out to other communities or constant training place an unfair burden on the remaining officers at our department? Are the projected program costs realistic? And how sustainable is this program if an officer position is lost? What if the K-9 officer decides to leave or retire? As a public servant, I believe we need to listen closely to the community when making public safety decisions. We need to ask the hard questions. Are we primarily facing an isolated drug issue, or are we dealing more broadly with an alcohol misuse that leads to future drug use and abuse issues? Before committing to a long-term investment, I suggest we take a more cautious approach, essentially a test drive. Let's explore partnerships with existing regional K-9 units and coordinate periodic deployments to Petersburg. While this may not align with the current timeline for a vehicle purchase and the K-9 outfitting, it can still offer valuable insights into the program's potential impact. Ultimately, a K-9 unit can be a valuable tool, but is not a standalone solution. Our greatest strength lies in the presence of our officers in our community, on the streets, in the schools, and engaging with the public. It's our citizens who come forward with credible reports to help make the difference in our community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Sergeant Harris.
Hello, I'm Chief James Kerr. I'm here representing myself representing my position as chief and also, more importantly, a member of the community. Okay, members of the Assembly, thank you for your time today. I'm here to advocate for support of the Petersburg Department implementation of a dual-purpose K-9 unit, trained in both narcotics detection and patrol functions. I understand that when you think of patrol dogs, you often picture dramatic takedowns, action scenes from movies and the news. But the reality and the true value of a dual-purpose K-9 goes far beyond that image. Let me give you some context. Since January 1st of this year, the Petersburg Police Department has responded to over 558 calls for service. Out of those, more than 72 involved individuals experiencing mental health issues or expressing suicidal thoughts. That's roughly 1 in every 7 calls. These situations are becoming more common and more dangerous. When someone is in the middle of a mental health breakdown and armed with a weapon, officers often have very few safe options. Less lethal tools like taser, beanbag rounds, don't always work, especially in colder climates where heavy clothing can lessen their effectiveness. The mere presence and traditional tools law enforcement uses often aggravates or enrages the individual experiencing the mental health crisis. And unfortunately, when those options fail, the officers may have no choice but resort to deadly force. But that's where the dual purpose canine can change the outcome. The presence of a trained canine often acts as a visual deterrent, diffusing a situation before it escalates. And in cases where force is necessary, the canine allows officers to safely apprehend individuals without taking a life. Let me paint a picture. Imagine officers are responding to a call where someone in a crisis, armed with a knife and threatening to harm themselves or others. Today, our officers would be forced to respond with guns drawn, trying to talk the person down while preparing for the worst. But with the dual certified canine, that approach is different. The canine arrives and the presence alone may convince the person to surrender. And if not, the dog can be used in coordination with less lethal tools to safely subdue an individual, allowing officers to take control without deadly force. This is not speculation. Incidences like this have already occurred in Southeast Alaska. And with the rising number of mental health related calls right here in Petersburg, it's only a matter of time before we face a similar situation. A dual certified canine isn't about chasing suspects or detecting drugs. It's a life-saving tool, a force multiplier, and a bridge between safety and compassion in high-risk situations. And here's something especially important to consider. A dual purpose is the only use of force option that can be recalled. No other tool, whether it's a taser, firearm, beanbag round, or pepper spray, can be stopped once it's been deployed. But a highly trained canine can be given a command and called off immediately if the situation changes in the blink of an eye. That level of precision, control, and adaptability makes it one of the most responsible and flexible tools an officer can carry. In addition to those capabilities, this canine would also be trained and available for search and rescue missions, a critical service in our region where terrain and weather can turn a missing person call into a life-threatening emergency. Whether it's locating a lost hiker, missing child, or responding during natural disasters, canine tracking abilities could significantly reduce response time and improve outcomes. On the narcotics detection side, the canine would assist our department in combating the presence of illegal drugs in our community, particularly opioids and methamphetamine, by identifying concealed narcotics during traffic stops, searches, and other investigations. This single canine would serve multiple purposes: saving lives, supporting public safety, protecting our officers, and enhancing our department's ability to serve this community in a crisis, in search, and in prevention. At the end of the day, this isn't just about adding a dog to our department. It's about giving our officers the tools they need to protect the people of Petersburg in the safest, most effective way possible, whether it's rescuing the lost, calming a mental health crisis, removing dangerous drugs, or preventing the loss of life. This canine can be the difference between tragedy and a safe outcome. Because law enforcement having the right tools at the right moment can mean everything. And sometimes that tool has 4 legs, a badge, and the power to save lives. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Chief Carr. Are there any other members of the audience who would like to speak?
My name is Tina Kerr, and I'm representing myself as a community member. I'm speaking to show my full support for bringing a dual-purpose canine unit to the Petersburg Police Department, one trained in both narcotics detection and patrol work. This kind of canine is not just a smart investment, it's an important step toward keeping our town safe. Illegal drugs are a growing threat in our community. A canine trained to detect narcotics can sniff out drugs faster and more accurately than any human. This helps keep drugs off our streets and holding drug traffickers accountable. But a dual-purpose canine offers even more. In addition to detecting narcotics, these dogs are trained in patrol work, including suspect tracking, officer protection, and crowd control. This kind of support helps our officers stay safe and do their jobs more effectively, especially when they're responding alone or in a high-risk situation. These dogs also help in search and rescue operations. In an area like ours with rough terrain and unpredictable weather, having a trained canine to help find missing people could mean saving our lives. This program also makes sense financially. The Petersburg Indian Association has pledged $14,000 to support the canine unit, and local businesses and individuals have also expressed interest in contributing. Even better, using funds seized from drug crimes to support the unit means those who are hurting our town will end up helping protect it. This initiative has strong support from across the community. Our officers deserve the best tools, and a dual-purpose canine will make a real difference in crime prevention, public safety, and emergency response. I urge the Assembly to approve and support this program. I'm ready to help however I can and encourage others in Petersburg to stand behind this effort. Please reach out if I can provide more information or support. Thank you.
Borough Assembly. Sorry. My name is Jalen Pomeranke. I'm the tribal administrator for the Petersburg Indian Association, and I'm here to read the letter of support from our council. On behalf of the Petersburg Indian Association, I'm pleased to express our support for the addition of a dual-purpose canine unit to the Petersburg Police Department. As a federally recognized tribal government dedicated to the well-being of our tribal citizens and the broader Petersburg community, we recognize the significant benefits a dual-purpose canine unit would bring to the public safety and law enforcement efforts in our area. A dual-purpose canine unit would serve as a valuable asset in enhancing public safety, assisting with search and rescue operations, detecting illegal substances, and strengthening crime prevention measures. Given the unique challenges faced by law enforcement in our rural and island community, the presence of a highly trained canine unit would improve efficiency, provide critical support in emergency situations, and help foster stronger community relationships. PIA is committed to working collaboratively with the police department to ensure that our community remains a safe and welcoming place for all residents. We believe that the addition of a dual-purpose canine unit aligns with our shared goals of protecting and serving the people of Petersburg and encouraging efforts to secure the necessary resources for this initiative. To further support this effort, PIA has donated $14,000 for the maintenance of the canine unit. We appreciate the dedication and service of the Petersburg Police Department and fully support this initiative. Please do not hesitate to reach out if PIA can provide further advocacy for this effort.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Akins, and I come to you as a concerned citizen and to strongly support the establishment of a dual-purpose canine unit within the Petersburg Police Department. Over the past couple months, I have done extensive research into this, and seeing the facts and conversing with others, mostly in Petersburg, but also in the region, I believe a police canine program with a dual-purpose dog would significantly enhance our community's safety while also strengthening police-community relations. Narcotics dogs are highly effective in identifying drugs, helping to reduce drug-related crimes and overdoses. With fentanyl on the rise and entering our community through various routes, this would be invaluable. While attending the port safety meeting last week, I learned the U.S. Coast Guard currently does not have a narcotics dog, so they partner with local entities to board vessels in search of illegal drugs. Patrol dogs assist in tracking and apprehending fleeing suspects, reducing risks to officers and the public. Their presence often encourages peaceful surrenders, minimizing the need for force, and provides critical backup during high-risk operations. Canine teams complete building searches faster than human teams while maintaining higher suspect apprehension rates. By quickly resolving searches, canine units save time, making law enforcement efforts more efficient. I've heard talk about on what breed should be chosen for this program. I want to ask you what your priorities are and then respond with whatever tasks you have in mind. As a multi-purpose dog, the Belgian Malinois is the superior breed. Online research I've done has shown that Anchorage has 6 canine units, and all of them are Belgian Malinois. I couldn't find a roster for Alaska State Troopers, but I have went through all of their videos available online, and I only saw one dog that wasn't a Malinois. On that note, my favorite video, if you have time, is for Canine Mocha when she's doing an assembly skills show off for a middle school group. It's really cool. I believe this community needs a dog that has the drive and traits that you're looking for and the abilities to perform tasks at hand. Malinois are the preferred canine breed among most law enforcement due to their unique combination of physical and behavioral traits for dual-purpose roles. They are extremely intelligent and trainable, able to master complex tasks like drug detection and suspect apprehension. They learn commands faster than most breeds and are extremely adaptable to various scenarios. They remain fully focused on tasks until their job is completed, fearless in high-stress environments, and controllable through handler commands. With their lean muscular builds, they can physically outperform most other breeds and are less prone to genetic health issues. Their robust health ensures longer working careers. Belgian Malinois are better suited for tactical law enforcement roles, requiring versatility in dual-purpose tasks. And this breed of dog can still be a great public relations ambassador. While they are known for their high energy and tactical skills, their intelligence and adaptability make them capable of engaging positively with the public. Their skillful demonstrations, public interactions, and ability to educate citizens about policing programs make them valuable assets. Establishing a dual-purpose canine unit within the Petersburg Police Department would serve as a great investment in community safety and trust. By prioritizing a Malinois, a breed proven in dual roles and trusted by many law enforcement agencies, the department can deploy a resilient, cost-effective partner capable of addressing threats while strengthening the community's sense of security. Beyond their tactical abilities, Malinois serve as excellent public relations agents, fostering positive interactions and building stronger connections between the police and the community. The benefits of such a program are clear, and its implementation would contribute to a safer environment in Petersburg and the surrounding areas. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, then we have persons to be heard on items unrelated
We do,
to.
Donna, we do have one more person online that would like to
Yes,
speak.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, Suzanne, go ahead. Suzanne, if you can hear me, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and speak. Why don't we continue on, and then we'll see if she's ready at the end of this next section.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, for those who would like to speak on items unrelated to today's agenda, may speak now.
And we do have
Mike Reaver.
Mike Reaver. I will allow him to speak. Okay, go ahead, Mike. It looks like you have permission to speak. I think you need to unmute on your side. Okay, go ahead and try again. Let's see if that works.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, I was asked to speak about the specific breeds of a dual-purpose canine. And a lot of the people that you've had speaking already kind of hit a lot of the high points. As far as the Belgian Malinois, the German Shepherd, the Dutch Shepherd being considered aggressive breeds, it's absolutely not the case. They're dogs. My company is Adler Horse International. We've been around since 1974. What I do is about every 8 or 9 weeks, I go over to Europe and I test dogs and purchase dogs for law enforcement. I'll bring them back to California and then conduct a 6-week basic handler class for whatever law enforcement agencies purchase the dogs. And then we do a certification at the end. But I'll start my trips off in Slovakia, go through Poland, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, sometimes France. And Belgian Malinois, German Shepherds, they're all over the place in those countries. You see them walking around the villages and the towns. And those people just call them dogs. There's only a few that have the actual drives and traits that we're looking for. And there's European dog sports that are popular over there, and they do obedience, agility, and protection work, apprehension work. And it's a game, it's a sport. But they have a foundation that we could use, and with further training, make those dogs law enforcement animals. But everything they do apprehension wise, they do it because it's fun. There's no malice, there's no aggression. And in the hands of a trained handler, they're very social animals. Someone referred to a picture of a Malinois with a muzzle on. Yeah, it's because we do muzzle fights. It's part of training. We put muzzles on the dogs, and the decoy or the role-playing suspect does not have any protective equipment on, and we send the dogs to go look for that person and then fight them. It's all part of training. It's normal for police canine work. LAX, they're one of our customers, the LAX Police Department. There's something like 30 dogs at the LAX airport, the Los Angeles airport, TSA, LAPD, Homeland Security, and then LAX or LA Airport Police. The LA Airport Police have about 6 dogs of ours. They're all dual purpose: apprehension, patrol, and explosive detection. Those dogs look for explosives on people. They go off leash through the terminals, the baggage claim, trying to smell explosives that are in people's bags or on their person. But also they could be called in to assist Inglewood PD or El Segundo PD to go look in backyard searches for criminals. When you look at the statistics for accidental bites at the LAX airport, every single accidental bite on a passenger or an employee is from what we call a floppy-eared dog from Homeland Security, TSA. Those are golden retrievers, miniature German short hairs, Labradors. Those are dogs that are not supposed to bite anyone. But there are 0 accidental bites on the public or employees from the patrol dogs because they're trained. And the handlers that handle them are trained how to handle them. And those dogs interact more with the public than the floppy-eared dogs of Homeland Security and TSA. Somebody else brought up a point about just the presence of a police dog at a crime scene or a situation, mental health. The announcement that there is a dog and there's a possibility that the dog could be used, that actually, the dog's not even sent, but just the announcement being made, that is the strongest use of a police dog in my eyes than anything else, than actually sending the dog to look for someone. We have more give-ups than actual apprehensions. A busy agency that we have, LA County Sheriff, they have a pretty high apprehension numbers throughout the year. But the amount of give-ups they get just from the announcement far exceed any of the dogs going out and actually finding someone and biting them. And that's with most agencies. And then with people that have mental health issues, when it is also announced that the dog is there and it's possibility that the dog will be used, people seem to find their sanity at that point and start acting like healthy citizens. And also when you think about the man hours saved, the amount of officers or deputy it takes to search a specific area of varying sizes, and how long it takes them to search that area, the canine dwindles that down immensely, and there's been studies on that. But I'm more than open to any questions about specific breeds or capabilities at this point.
Right, thank you, Mr. Reaper, for your comments. Do we have anyone else who would like to testify in the?
We'll try with Suzanne again.
All
I'm
right.
going to ask her to unmute.
Sorry. Timer.
Okay, go ahead and what you could do also, Suzanne, is just call my cell phone and then I will hold my phone up to the speaker so you can speak. That, it seems that we are not able to hear you through Zoom. Okay, we'll just try one more time. Suzanne, if you could try to unmute on your side there. Okay, she is calling me. Hello. Okay, I'm going to put you on the speaker, okay? Are you ready? Okay, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Assembly. My name is Suzanne Wood. Following comments are my own and are related to item 17D. What is the rationale for a trained canine unit? If the scale of Petersburg's drug problem is beyond the ability of CCAD to control it, then maybe Petersburg needs a canine unit. However, if this is just a want, then it's an unnecessary drain on resources that could be used elsewhere. CCAD is a proactive task force whose primary goal is to reduce illegal drug trafficking in Southeast Alaska, including Petersburg. It is based on a cooperative agreement in which all Southeast communities, the Alaska State Troopers, and federal law enforcement partners have agreed to pool resources and collaborate to combat drug trafficking and distribution anywhere in Southeast Alaska. CCAD has full-time investigative personnel located in Juneau, Ketchikan, Sitka, and Petersburg. Due to Southeast Alaska's relative proximity to Canada and the contiguous 48 United States, CCAD has developed excellent working relationships with several other state and international agencies in an effort to interdict illegal drugs flowing into Southeast Alaska. I do not support the Petersburg Borough allocating funds for a canine unit and the associated expenses, including a liability insurance policy covering mishaps and injuries and a certified and trained canine unit. The ongoing training and certification requirements contribute to long-term costs. The purchase of a canine unit would require a budget line item for year-round care, scheduled feeding, veterinary care, and certified training. If the intent is to make the canine unit to be long-term within the PPD, then a pool of money needs to be set aside for the replacement of and training for a replacement canine unit similar to the motor pool. There is currently local support and monetary offers for the annual expenses for a canine unit. However, what happens if this private funding stream stops or diminishes? In closing, without knowing the scale of our local drug problem, I cannot support the proposed canine unit. If our drug problem is beyond the scope of CCAD's capability, then there may be merit to a canine unit, but we have not been presented with the evidence of scale of the problem. Thank you for this opportunity to share my comments. And lastly, I'd like to thank Debbie Thompson for her past service and welcome Becky Regula. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. Next, we have boards, commission, and committee reports. We don't have any on the agenda. We have one item for the consent agenda, El Zarape liquor license renewal. El Zarape LLC has applied to renew their restaurant liquor license. The assembly may support or protest the application within 60 days of the date of notice on the application filing.
I would move to approve this renewal request.
Second.
All right, discussion? Let's, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have report of other officers. Petersburg Medical Center CEO Hofstetter will update the assembly on medical center activities.
Hi, good afternoon. Phil Hofstetter, Petersburg Medical Center CEO. Certainly, while we're on the subject, Petersburg Medical Center supports the use of a canine dual purpose for a lot of the comments suggested. I attended a conference, annual conference last September, and we had a presentation from law enforcement using canine with a lot of the situations indicated with mental health and de-escalation, and also the community bridge with law enforcement. So certainly would support that. In other topics, my report submitted a couple of things, just some highlights. Our census in our facility continues to be very high. We have, high long-term care. We have a lot of, for whatever reason, we have a high census in our acute care. That's been going on for almost a year now, where we have rehabilitation and our what they call a swing bed patient in our inpatient unit. So just a very high census. I want to thank our staff for really, continuing to work through that. Obviously, our eyes are on the federal government as far as Medicaid, potential Medicaid cuts. We obviously don't have any information on that, so we're monitoring that and preparing as best as possible. Feel very fortunate that we're a community facility and independent during this time. Our program related to grants are not affected at this time, but it's been very challenging to see any future and potential future grants. So we're monitoring that situation as well. Some of our grant-funded programs, our behavioral health program is grant-funded, both state and federal. We also have our new facility that's up the hill being built. That's a federal and appropriations grant. Again, we're fortunate that we're on target, on budget, and on time related to that, and that's not affected, but worried about future funding opportunities in that realm. Couple other things to indicate from the legislative side. We supported, Petersburg Medical Center supported Senate Bill 133. It's a prior authorization bill that we're monitoring that's been put forward in collaboration with Division of Insurance and the Alaska Hospital and Healthcare Association. And it's really to provide improvement on insurance companies and supporting in prior authorizations, which is a bottleneck in the healthcare world. Other updates, our water line has ruptured earlier this year and it's temporarily patched. It's a big issue. So I want to thank the boroughs also helping in this. Maybe in the next month or so, we'll have our plan on reconciling that full time. Certainly some risk in that in our facility. So more information to come with that. But it's certainly something that is always a reminder of the age of our facility. Specialties, we have optometry here this week. We're getting scheduled for dermatology coming up hopefully in May. Psychiatry, we have a psychiatrist coming he's been doing telepsych for about a year now under the opioid grant. and he will be coming here on site in next month, in June. Dr. Raster, ENT, will be here in May, and we're working with the orthopedic clinic, and we do not have our scope colonoscopies at this time. We're still working on that. It's very, very difficult to find specialists in that area. And that's my updates for now. Any questions?
No, thank you very much for your presentation and the information contained in the packet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have U.S. Forest Service Director, Ranger, or District Ranger Case.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I do want to say congratulations to Debbie and congratulations to Becky. It's always been a pleasure, Debbie, so congratulations on your retirement. You'll be missed. Just a few short updates. We're issuing our outfitter and guide permits for the season. Anything that needed renewed, we've reviewed them, and we're in the renewal process right now. So we know the season is ramping up. The West Point cabin is open to the public again. It was closed for a portion of time this winter. There are some things we're working on related to the roof, therefore the closure during the winter time. We had a light winter, so it is open and available to the public again. The Castle River cabin, it does have what we're calling now an open concept outhouse due to a tree falling on it this winter. So it is usable. The cabin is open. It's providing a little more fresh air experience when you use it, and we're working on a plan to rebuild that. So if folks are planning to go to Castle River, expect the outhouse to look a little bit different than it has in the past. The Thomas Bay timber sale and the contracting effort that we've been working on is we're getting close to having that to contract, and our due date for that is early May. And we're continuing to work on more of a schedule with our small and micro sale operators here on Mitkoff Island. So we'll be contacting them to discuss a more consistent way of having them submit requests to us and us providing service for those requests. So with that, that's it for me unless you have questions. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Superintendent Robin Taylor with us.
Right, thank you. It's good to see you all. I'm Robin Taylor, Superintendent for the Petersburg School District. Just wanted to give you a couple of updates of happenings in the school district. The capital improvement project has been awarded to CBC Construction out of Sitka. And as I've been working with the contractor, they plan to start staging and prepping the area, putting fencing up the week of May 12th. What that will mean to the community, and there will be messaging going out, is that there will be reduced parking spaces in front of the middle and high school area, and we're going to move the bus pickup and drop off for the middle and high school students to the backside of the building. And they wanted me to share the message that they are seeking any local workers. So if you're interested in working on the schools projects this summer, you can certainly reach out to CBC Construction. Last weekend, I attended the Alaska Council of School Administrators Legislative Fly-In in Juneau with our finance manager, Shannon Baird, and the elementary school principal, Heather Kahn. We got to visit independently with a lot of our legislators across the state, as well as had some big group times with the administrators and bringing legislators down to our sessions. Right now, the big topics on the Hill are the House Bill 69. It has passed through the House Education, through House Finance. It's passed through Senate Education, and it is right now sitting in Senate Finance. There is, through my perception, a general feeling of support at the Capitol that funding is needed for schools. One of the statements that was shared is that schools are starving. You know, we can't continue just to offer great supports with inadequate funding. The two numbers that tend to be thrown out right now are an increase of $680 or an increase of $1,000 to the base student allocation. And so I did send out messaging to our school community last week, just sharing that information. Right now, if Petersburg School District receives inside the base student allocation an increase of $680. That does mean with next year's planned expenditures that we will have a deficit spend of $850,000. So what is sitting in that fund reserve will be depleted rather quickly, and then we will be facing the hardships that many of the other districts in the state are facing next year, looking at the fiscal year 27 budget. So we are not immune. If the base student allocation is increased at $1,000, which is currently as it is written, the school district will face a $470,000 deficit spend. So just encourage folks to share their message with Senate Finance as to the value of education as they've seen it here in this community. The other piece I wanted to share is we are slowly getting through state testing. This is the month-long window of state testing. What we are seeing through what's called the MAPS data that's coming is our students are continuing to make good, solid gains. I do believe a lot of that is to many of the additional grants and funds that we've received to provide some targeted interventions and supports to struggling students. We are well aware that with reduced funds, we anticipate some of those scores will go down when we can't continue to offer some of the targeted interventions that we're doing. So just making that known. And then finally, I just wanted to share, I have a collaborative meeting with your Parks and Rec Director, Stephanie Payne, here in about half an hour. So we're just gonna look at the current memorandum of agreement that was signed many, many years ago and really talk about how we can continue to partner and support each other. So thank you for your time. I welcome any questions.
Questions? All right, thank you for that report. All right, next we have the SEPA report. Assemblymember Lynn and SEPA board member, same person. SEPA board chair Lynn will provide an update on the March 27, 2025 SEPA board meeting. Assemblymember Lynn.
Okay, thank you. My report's in the package and you can see, you can take a look at it from there. I just have one item that I want to address, and that has to do with the addition of the third turbine at Tyee. The CEO of SEPA has applied for 3 different grants to help fund that turbine. And we, right now, the way it looks, the total cost of installation of that turbine is $22 million. And so the one grant we had in place was about $6 million, and that has been put on hold by the Trump administration. There's, I guess, a fair indication we'll get that $6 million. The second grant that we have in again is through a federal grant. And probably we got about a 30% chance of getting that one. And then the very last grant we have is through the state. And when we met last week, I think collectively we gave it about a 3% chance. So then we took a look at, should we go forward? And I've called a special meeting for June to take a look at that turbine to purchase the turbine, which we have out right now for contracts. So the point I'm going to get to is that we collectively as a board are going to have to take a look at do we stop, do we move forward, and then how do we pay for it and what's the timing? And with that, I'll just open it to questions.
All right, thank you for that information, Member Lynn. Any other questions and comments? Nope, looks like you're good. We appreciate the information. Okay, moving on to the mayor's report. There was one item. Seeking letters of interest, the Petersburg Borough is accepting letters of interest from citizens who wish to serve the community by filling a vacant seat on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board until the October 2025 municipal election. Letters of interest may be submitted to Clerk Regula at the borough offices located at 12 South Nordic Drive by sending to P.O. Box 329, Petersburg, Alaska 99833, or by emailing to bregula@petersburgak.gov. That concludes the mayor's report, bringing us to the manager.
Mayor Marsh?
Yes.
May I add one thing to the mayor's report?
Thank you. Please do, Member.
Okay.
Jensen.
A few days ago, I received a call from our federal lobbyist, Sebastian O'Kelly, and he suggested that I reached out to Senator Sullivan and asked for his continued support for the funding for Scow Bay, which we know is now on hold due to the federal administration. And so I reached out to him and I said, hello, Senator Sullivan, thank you for trying to get Scow Bay boat haul out funding moving forward again for us in Petersburg. This is a very important project for not only us, but for the entire region. And thank you for all you do for Alaska. And about 2 days later, he responded and said, yes, I've raised that directly with the Secretary of Transportation. We will keep you posted on this and hope to see you soon. So I also invited him and his wife, Julie, to come and visit us in Petersburg. And he said he would like to, but wasn't sure if he would make it. So I just thought I would update the Assembly on that, that Senator Sullivan is working diligently to get that funding for the Scow Bay project. So that's all I just wanted to add. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We appreciate the advocacy that you are helping us with there. Moving on to the manager's report, Manager Giesbrecht.
Thank you, ma'am. Petersburg Power and Light has received all the grant funds through the Department of Energy Section 243 Hydroelectric Efficiency Incentive Program, which was roughly about $2.8 million. This money was received into the Blind Slough Capital Project Fund, and then excess reserves in that fund were then transferred to the Scow Bay Generation Project. Power and Light is working on fine-tuning the RFP for construction services for the Scow Bay Generation Project. The 3.5 megawatt generator that was purchased last year is in storage in Texas until the utility is ready for it to be shipped to Petersburg. We are working with the design engineer on specifications for the generator transformer and switchgear to put that equipment out to bid as soon as possible. Power and Light rate study is progressing and helped with development of the FY26 budget. We are presently pulling historic billing data together so that it can be input into the rate model. This will help with rate design proposals to meet our department revenue goals and requirements. Power and Light has received word that the annual maintenance shutdown at Tyee Lake will start on or very near June 10th this year. Contractor schedules have pushed the agency to start the initial shutdown at Swan Lake this year, with Tyee following that work. Power and Light will issue public service announcements when the schedule is confirmed and the shutdown gets closer. Tuesday, April 8th at 6 p.m., the library is hosting a screening of Free for All, the Public Library. This is a PBS documentary. The special event, hosted by the Friends of the Petersburg Libraries, will feature live music, refreshments, and time for engaging activities and conversation. Fun, interactive activities will also be available for children 3 to 8 in the children's room. This event is free and open to everyone. Parks and Rec will be hosting an American Red Cross training and recertification session for staff and outside groups from April 10th through the 14th. Consequently, there will be few pool swim closures during those days. Closures will be posted on Facebook and around the facility. Petersburg Rotary and Parks and Rec will be hosting our annual Sandy Beach Park cleanup on Saturday, April 19th from 11 to 1 in preparation for the Elks annual Easter egg hunt. Volunteers are always welcome. Please dress accordingly and contact Stephanie or Julie at Parks and Rec with any questions. Spring sand pickup continues. We are also washing streets and sidewalks to get things spruced up for the busy season. Street grading as weather permits. At the Banana Point Boat Launch, the crew installed a small shelter that was repurposed from an old unused baseball dugout. Parks and Rec donated the old structure, which was then painted and rehabbed using materials that were surplus from past projects. The shelter installation was made with permission from AD&R and was the idea of the streets crew. Thanks to this creative bit of thinking and coordination with the state, the community now has a covered shelter to use at Banana Point while waiting for the water taxi. While at Banana Point, the crew also retrieved and tied off a breakwater boom that had come loose from its moorings. We're down to very few of those left. Local motor pool auction of surplus units resulted in the sale of 1 surplus SUV and 1 porta potty. Assistant Director Morell is putting together an online auction for the 3 surplus Power and Light line trucks that did not sell locally. Aaron is working with DEC on renewal of the borough's landfill permit, which expires this summer. And Sean Blake conducted our fire system inspections with Johnson Controls, who have the inspection contract for most of the borough facilities. The biosolids disposal permit has been finalized, and we are now permitted for disposing of composted solids at the landfill instead of depositing the materials at the mud dump. Pump Station 4 and Force Main Upgrade Project is getting closer to construction, with work now scheduled to begin at the end of April or early May. Coordination meeting will be held on-site the week of April 7th with the contractor and borough representatives. Various staff attended the annual spring meeting with the U.S. Coast Guard Captain of the Port, Captain Stanley Fields, and fellow Borough Department and Waterways Agency representatives. Topics included emergency response, homeland security, marine communication, tour ship activity, drug trafficking, cybersecurity, and personnel changes. Community appreciates the annual in-person information exchange with Sector Juneau and the 17th District Administration. Harbor did pass the annual U.S. Coast Guard Homeland Security audit last week in preparation for the upcoming tour season. And our tour season schedule has firmed up at 94 stops, with the first stop on April 25th. Glow was interviewed by Stephanie Hernandez McGavin, a student in the University of Washington's Master of Infrastructure Planning and Management, studying local government capacity to manage formerly state-owned harbor infrastructure in Alaska. I received word from our federal lobbyists that funding from Denali may be pulled or impacted by the Dodge Group. This could impact Scow Bay and Banana Point projects, but we have not had any confirmation of that. It's just kind of rumors that he had heard in DC. Aaron worked with the school and local contractors to remove the emergency siren from the school roof. We will start looking for grant opportunities to replace the siren at a different location. The large increase in tariffs by the president will have an impact on next year's budget. Unfortunately, we do not know the exact cost of the budget currently. We're just going to wing it. And as we see impacts later in the year, we'll come back to you with a supplemental budget. We just can't anticipate. We don't really know. Public comments are being accepted by ADNR regarding the transfer of Tidelands property at Papke's to the borough. This has taken just over 3 years, and it looks like it's getting close to being done. Some borough staff will be working with IBEW on April 21st to 22nd to negotiate proposed salary changes for the IBEW employees. And that's it, unless there's questions.
Right, anybody have questions for the manager? Okay, thank you for that report. Next, we have for the unfinished business. We don't have any unfinished business, so moving on to new business. Ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance adjusting the FY 2025 budget for known changes. The FY 25 budget policy document states that the borough will designate 50% of the previous year's annual general fund surplus into the property development fund for the purpose of financing major capital maintenance and repairs in any year where the general fund undesignated fund balance is within the target range of established policy levels. This ordinance, if approved, will transfer $292,314 from the general fund to the property development fund. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, Mayor Jensen forwarded the motion, and Member Stanton Gregor seconded. Any discussion? Questions?
I have one question. Is there a specific reason for moving the money from the general fund to the property development fund? Is it kind of put in there, property development fund for a specific reason, or is it just policy to move the money?
I'll answer, and then Jody, correct me if I get anything wrong. It's actually a policy of the budget policy document. We do it to try to add money to that property development fund for a lot of these buildings that need maintenance. But this year in particular, we may have a use for it laid out with the sewer project at Parks and Rec, although we haven't finalized that yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jay,
Yes.
Scott,
Yeah.
James,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. Next, we have ordinance 2025-04, an ordinance amending Chapter 19 zoning of the Petersburg Municipal Code to establish overlay zones within municipal zoning regulations and to create a marine industrial overlay zone. If approved in 3 readings, ordinance 2025-04 will establish a new marine industrial overlay zone within the industrial zone of Service Area 1, applicable to certain tideland parcels as reflected in Exhibit A attached.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-04 as written.
Second.
Thank you. Member Newman forwarded the motion and Member Lynn seconded it. Any discussion on this? Member Valentine?
This is, I guess, towards Glow. Glow, the current, one we have, this was moved up from the Harbor Board. This is your, best one put forward, right?
Yes, the
Yeah.
Harbor Board worked to put this forward for you. Yes.
Okay. That's it. That was my question.
Thank you. Member Stanton Gregor?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, thank you, Glow, and to the Harbor Board for the work put into this. It has been about 1.5 years since we gave that direction to create this. I think it's the right time. I'm glad it's before us. I'll definitely be voting yes and encourage others that are in favor of it to show up to the public hearing next time if they are so inclined. Thanks.
Any other discussion items? All right, clerk, would you please call the roll?
James,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 2025-07, a resolution requesting the Alaska Legislature increase the base student allocation and provide a sustainable formula for education funding. Resolution 2025-07 urges the Alaska Legislature to prioritize a long-term bipartisan solution for education funding by increasing the base student allocation and providing school districts with predictable funding levels.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-07 as written.
Second.
Second.
All right, Member Newman put forward the motion. Member Valentine seconded it. Any questions or discussion on this one? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mark,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes 6-0. Next, we have the K-9 unit. Vice Mayor Marsh requested that acquisition of a K-9 unit for our police department be revisited. Chief Kerr has provided additional information regarding the K-9 unit. So, could I get a motion, please?
Take discussion. I'll move to approve the request.
Second.
All right, Member Stanton Gregor put forward the motion. Mayor Jensen seconded it. So yes, I did request this to be brought up again, even though we have not gone very far into our budget discussion items. But in my opinion, because we are in a prime position with the new budget, upcoming budget considerations, I think that the timing is very appropriate for this. And I don't think there's anyone in this room, much less this community, who is not affected directly by drugs, illegal drug use. Somebody presented an argument that, well, neither they nor their family members use drugs, and so they're really outside of that circle. But I think in the cost of time, of resources, the effect of small businesses, the effect on our local police department, productivity, wherever we go, whether it's shoplifting or whether it's whatever, we are all directly affected. We have friends and maybe not family members, some of us, but we have people within our spheres of influence and our friendships who have been dramatically negatively affected by this. So I think having a K-9 unit, a dual purpose one, adds another tool to the options that our local police department has to help curtail the use. I don't think a canine is going to eliminate it entirely, but I think if we were to consider what is the cost of your child's life or my child's life or a loved one, you know, a brother, a sister, a parent, or even the kid down the street who, you know, leaves his baseballs in the road. We don't want it to happen to anybody, because it's a really sad destination. So I am requesting, yes.
Chief Kerr provided several videos for us to play.
Okay, that would
Okay.
that'd be great.
I will go ahead and do that.
Thank you.
Old man with the men and with the men.
Yeah. I'd like to address this if I could.
Hold on now.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Member Lynn, Clerk Regula is seeing if she can't put the videos up that we've got links to. And then we'll be happy to hear from your comments.
Okay.
Point of order, do we have a motion to support this canine
Yeah,
unit?
Member Stanton Geiger put forward the motion.
Okay, just clarified, I guess I seconded it. Okay, sorry.
Thanks.
Discuss it, not a motion to approve it though, right?
No, it's a motion to approve.
Oh, what?
I did, for this, I said.
We have to discuss, we have to have a motion on
To approve.
Can you just drag it over?
Worst non-dairy milks for your waistline.
Hey, ads.
What milk did you?
Sponsored by milk.
Lost in the cornfield, an 86-year-old man with dementia. A first responder new on the job helped find him in about 20 minutes.
It was a little bit of a learning curve for our new canine handler, but he was able to manage it. He learned some things along the way, but the dog performed perfectly.
Meet Jenga, the 10-month-old canine assigned to the Boone County Sheriff's Office in Iowa. He picked up the scent of the man from his clothing and went to work.
The dog smelled the clothes a couple different times and was able to find him, I believe, within 20 minutes.
It's a small police agency, but clearly making good hires.
The cost versus benefit, to us, it's totally worth it. That's why we run 2 canines, even though we're a smaller agency. It's worth it when you can save a life.
The man rescued is now doing okay. This is Inside Edition Digital.
Then we have another one. See if we can do better this time.
Well, a Seacon K-9 officer is being credited with helping to save a young girl's life. The officer and his K-9 got the call Monday night to help find a missing teen in Rehoboth, who police said may have been in danger. K-9 Zuzo put his skills to the test and found the girl unharmed. Eyewitness News reporter Alexandra Leslie spoke to his handler today. She joins us now live from the newsroom with the story. Alex?
Well, in less than an hour, Sergeant Steve Fundakowski says K-9 Zuzo was able to track down the teen, and all he needed was one good sniff of her sweatshirt to do it. A serious call in Rehoboth put a Seekonk police sergeant and his K-9 to the test.
Here comes Zuzo and I.
Monday night, Sergeant Steve Fundakowski and his K-9 Zuzo were tasked with finding a suicidal teen who ran away from her Rehoboth home. Zuzo was given the girl's worn sweatshirt.
So we bit it, took a sniff of it, and now he's trained to track for that one specific scent.
Zuzo took police into the woods, and under an hour, he had a scent.
Lifts his head up in the air and starts going a little frantic. And to me, that he's telling me that the person's close by.
And she was. Fundakowski says the girl was found hiding under a tree.
We were able to get her the help that she needed. So all in all, it was a good find.
And it's not his first. Fundakowski tells me in his short career, Zuzo has located other people in crisis, narcotics, and suspects. He noted one serious but humorous encounter with an armed robbery suspect.
Because we're running after him. I'm threatening to, I'm going to send the dog. I don't think he believed me because he looked back, and as soon as he looked back and saw the dog, he just dropped and gave up.
While his bark may sound threatening, Canine Zuzo is first and foremost a dog.
It's just play. Like after the other night, as excited as he was, there, I gave him his ball, and like that was the world to him. Like he did all that just for his ball.
Now, as for that initial call, Fundakowski tells me that that girl was located safe and transported to the hospital for treatment. In the newsroom, I'm Alexandra Leslie.
This incredible mold remover gel can restore your bathroom.
Van Buren County has a unique story.
Not only did he help to rescue a 3-year-old missing boy this week, we're also learning from his handler this is not his first rescue in the years that he's served.
And the dog's name is Kuno, and as News Channel 3's Carter Landis explains, he has an amazing list of achievements.
Tuesday, we brought you a story about the Van Buren County Canine Unit discovering a missing child in Geneva Township. So today, we met up with the Canine Unit, and this is the hero himself. Yeah. This is Kuno, an 8-year-old Belgian Malinois, part of the Van Buren County Sheriff's Canine Department. Kuno and his handler, Deputy Eric Calhoun, were instrumental in recovering a missing 3-year-old boy in South Haven.
I got Canine Kuno ready, put his tracking harness on, and then we started from the last possible known location.
This is not the first time Kuno and Calhoun have discovered a missing child. In their 7-year time together, they have recovered 5 missing children.
Like I said, hundreds of hours of training, and I think just putting in the work has made both him and I successful, as being a handler.
Kuno has a rigorous training process. It includes dedicated 8-hour training days every 2 weeks. Kuno goes on training tracks to keep himself fresh when he's on the job. They also have to pass a tracking certification every 2 years.
That's what we primarily see, in our field as being requested to run tracks, either for missing persons or criminals.
Calhoun has been through a lot with Kuno over the years. From finding missing children to Kuno being stabbed years ago, the two have developed a deep, strong bond. Calhoun telling us Kuno has made 35 to 45 arrests on duty.
It is a little bit reassuring knowing that you have backup, within just a couple feet away. So, at the push of a button, I have, backup if I need it, with having the Canine Kuno with me.
So we had to put Kuno to the test. I hid in the woods behind us to see if he would find me. And of course, he found me in just a few minutes. At the end of May, Kuno will wrap up an illustrious 7-year career with the Canine Department and will join the Calhoun family as a retired, regular household pet. In Van Buren County, Carter Landis, News Channel 3.
Okay. For those. Member Lynn, did you have some comments? If you can, thank you.
Okay, first of all, would you define for me the motion that is on the table?
Speaking to your mic, Jay.
Sorry, I made a motion to approve, Bob.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'd like to first start that this is a new program that's being brought before us. And with that, I want to start from 2 different perspectives. One's the budget. The Secure Rural Schools funds that we've always had for the last almost 20 years were not reauthorized. That's $1 million to Petersburg. On top of that, our sales tax revenues is down from last year. Third, I would go that without that $1 million, and as you heard from Robin Taylor, that we're going to be in deficit. In other words, we're going to use up the funds that we have there. Even if we go to the cap, we can only gather about $541,000. And so the way I see it is we are in real trouble, maybe starting this year for fiscal year 25, but definitely in 26. We can add another $20,000-$30,000 program, but then what are we going to take out to be able to maintain what we got? And I think that to me is a serious question that's on the table that we need to take a look at. I'm not arguing at this point whether or not it's a great program or not, but it also raises some other points to me. Is we don't have a union agreement on this. It's approved. That's been brought before us, so we have incomplete information. We don't have a mechanism to collect donations. We don't have any kind of a guarantee on future federal funding, even though I appreciate the PIA coming forward with funding for this year. I haven't seen a layout of what future costs this would be. Bottom line is that I think that going forward with the program right now is the very wrong thing to do. I think we need to just sit back and let it go. And I am definitely not in favor of any kind of a dual purpose dog, not in Petersburg. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have some
Yeah, Member Valentine.
questions and comments. So I'm not completely sold on this either. When I have been reading through past material and this past week and weeks before, I've getting a lot of phone calls that have mostly been not pro. There's a couple things that stood out to me as I was reading through all this and hearing some testimonies and so on, of course, with the budget, but I'll let Mr. Lynn deal with that. But like a big one that I was reading, and then I read all the other counter arguments to it, but was coming from Juneau, from the police department there. And there were, in his experience, he had said that after about 2 years, is really hard to maintain these dogs. Handlers get burned out, and it's really hard to maintain when these dogs are trained to do these dual purpose, and you can't sustain it. This town, like somebody who had come up and spoke earlier, I don't believe this town is a town where you are distributing drugs. I think it is more recreational. I see this happening, and when we get it, it's going to be like a big boom for maybe for 6 months to a year, and then what happens after 8 more years of having a drug dog, right? And then even just looking at the different numbers, and I'm trying not to play the what if games, because the what if games can just spiral out of control. But we have from one of the statistics brought up earlier, there's 544 calls last year. I think that was the number. And then 72 of them were dealt with mental health issues. That's 13% of the calls that are being called in dealing with mental health issues. Out of that 72 that were called, how many were the same people? And then it makes me wonder, well, how many forceful apprehensions have we had in Petersburg in the past 20 years, or even longer, or even shorter? How many forceful ones have we had to do? How many times have you had to use a taser? And I'm only 33, but I only recall one actual gunshot fired in Petersburg in the last, I think, 20 years, right? So the forceful apprehension part is interesting when you have a dual narcotic patrol dog, and then and then we also have 2 other canine units in Southeast. And if we still have to have, by reading all these other letters here, what is it? Let me see here. Not from the Attorney General, saying that you still have to have reasonable suspicion, and you still need to make a case in order to bring it over. And if you're making that case, that means you have time before to make a big drug deal. Why couldn't we hire out with this money instead? Right? It probably costs less. And there's already 2 established canine units, one in Ketchikan, one in Juneau, from my understanding and my research. we have a decreasing population. We have 3,000. It is decreasing, and it is becoming more elderly. I just don't see a need for a dual-purpose Malinois narcotic patrol dog in the town. And because of that, I'm just not sold on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Valentine? Member Stan Gregor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Oh, a couple things. First of all, I wanted to, I made this motion to approve just because I think and to be clear, I'll be voting no, but I thought not having it get a discussion would be doing the public a disservice, so I just wanted to get it on the table. But first of all, I'd like to thank PIA for so generously offering to help our community with opioid money to attempt to reduce drugs in Petersburg. I value that gesture very much. And I appreciate the chief's perspective of and advocating for it. A couple of reasons why I can't. I'll let Bob Lynn touch on budget, although I agree with that. I'll let that sit. I support what Member Valentine said too. A bit of history. Jim's predecessor was a man named Chief Kelly Swihart, and as some may remember, we had a more significant drug dealer who was in the distribution business back then. And we had town hall meetings about how we can clean up the street. And to be clear, a drug dog wouldn't have solved that. We would still needed the same probable cause to go through the process. But Chief Swihart asked me to come and talk to the town hall meeting about, to put it simply, supply versus demand. When we think of addicts, they create demand. The war on drugs was created, of course, to reduce supply. As Sergeant Harris said, we're not a drug hub. These are users selling to each other, the usual suspects at times. We arrest one of the minor suspects or one of the major ones. We've reduced supply for now, but there's still demand. Users want to use it. It's tragic. It breaks my heart. If anyone wants to make billions of dollars, find a way to reduce nationwide demand. I think about that all the time. If anyone's got an idea, call me, because if you reduce demand for these things, supply goes away. But that's not where we're at. And the dog won't reduce demand. As mentioned, I don't think it fits our community needs. Malinois can be great animals, and they can also be used as military weapons. I know that is not what our PD wants to do. I would not imply that. I don't think it's a good public look for our community. Let's see. Oh, I liked what Sergeant Harris said in terms of more or less taking something for a test drive. And like Member Valentine said, we can rent a dog whenever we want, unless I'm speaking out of line. Mr. Manager, that's something that's been talked about with Juneau, that's an available option?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just put it simply. So we're not out anything on that one. I think that's just a more deliberate way to go. One last reason why I can't vote for it is right now we have Sergeant Harris here testifying against, which I appreciate, a different perspective. I know it takes courage to stand up and testify, and Chief Kerr is in favor. I think a program that has dissension within its ranks is not a good way to start. It's not a slight against Harris or Chief Kerr, it's just an objective reality. And unless we have full department buy-in, I just don't think it's a wise move, amongst my other reasons. I'll throw it out there. If I want to chime back in, I can. But I just want to kind of lay out some of the reasons why it doesn't make sense for our community at this time. And I'll definitely be voting no.
Thank you. Member Newman?
Yeah, and so initially, when this was brought up, I think a month or two ago, my impression was it was really more as a dedicated drug dog, not a dual purpose dog. And I advocated for that just because I felt like it was important to try to stop the flow of drugs into our community, and I thought that would be a useful tool. There was a lot of public support that I received from people calling me and talking about that. Once the plan kind of pivoted to a dual purpose dog, all that support that I received completely flipped. While they supported a drug dog, they did not support a dog with, patrol or apprehension capabilities. So that completely changed that dynamic. I agree with the budget issues that we have moving forward. There's a lot of uncertainty going on right now with federal funding and the school. And, I appreciate PIA coming forward, with the $14,000. I liked Suzanne Wood's comment about you know, need do we have? And, you know, CCAD, that was it Southeast Alaska Cities Against Drugs. I guess there's 2 dogs, and I couple that with Sergeant Aris's comments about taking a, you know, trial basis. Oftentimes, you know, you have an idea, and I think that it's been presented as a very good idea, very articulate, very well laid out, very thoughtful, very compelling argument for a dual-purpose dog. But I think sometimes, you know, the disparity between the idea and reality can be pretty wide. And so I would put a lot of consideration into a trial basis. That's my comments.
All right, thank you. Any
May
other
I
comments?
comment, Member Marsh?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things that were stated by other assembly members today. Budget is one of my concerns. Adding a new part to the police department kind of concerns me. One other thought that comes to my mind is recently in Wrangell, there was a drug bust, and to my knowledge, those got dropped. I think almost 3 years ago, we had a apprehension of drugs coming in on an airplane. People had them in their body. Federal government took it over, and I still see those people on the street. I think our efforts might be better pushed towards getting the DA to convict some of these people that are arrested in possession with the intent to sell. So, you know, and I can't support a dual purpose dog. Maybe a dog that could just detect drugs would be good. As far as search and rescue, there are dogs in our region that perform that duty already. With that, weighing those points and some information I've got from people of the public, I can't support this at this time.
All right, thank you, Mayor Jensen. Yeah, I myself am still 100% in favor of this. Initially, I had thought that, you know, you could target certify a dog to be, you know, just narcotics, which is the single purpose, and the dual purpose, you could target specifically what training, so you could have this ideal animal. But the dual purpose, I guess he's got the narcotics, but also patrol duties as part of his training. I'm 100% in favor that I think it could benefit this town. I think we've got the support of the hospital, we've got PIA, we've got private citizens who have agreed to donate. And whereas I have received some opposition, I have also received more positive input that, yes, we really need a dual purpose dog. So I will vote yes on this, and we'll see where it goes. Any further discussion? Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Scott,
No.
Bob,
No.
Mark,
No.
James,
No.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay.
No.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Motion fails 5-1. Five opposed and 1 in favor. Brings us to the next item, Tlingit-Haida Regional Housing Authority, Petersburg Borough Real Property Improvement and Conveyance Agreement, Addendum Number 1. On January 6, 2025, the Assembly approved Resolution 2025-01, which authorized Manager Giesbrecht to enter into a real property improvement and conveyance agreement with Tlingit-Haida Regional Housing Authority, who will provide improvements, road, electric, sewer, and storm drainage utilities to 11 lots in the Airport Addition subdivision in return for ownership of 7 of the 11 lots. Tlingit-Haida now requests to provide improvements to an additional 11 lots for a total of 22 lots, with 13 of them to be owned by Tlingit-Haida and 9 lots to be retained by the borough. Addendum Number 1 to this agreement is attached for Assembly approval. Can I get a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the conveyance agreement addendum number 1 with Tlingit-Haida Regional Housing Authority and the Petersburg Borough Rural Property Improvement.
Second.
All right, Member Newman put forward the motion. Member Stenton Gregor seconded it. Any discussion? Yes, Member Stanton Gregor.
Yeah, just wanted to thank Steve for working with Clinton Haida and more housing for Petersburg. I think it's great. Appreciate your efforts.
All right, thank you. Any other? So I do have questions. So with these additional 11 lots, how are the utilities equipped to handle the volume, whether the draw on the electricity or the volume of sewage or water, whatever? Could you go through that for us?
Sure, I can. One thing we have in our advantage is like the original first phase of the airport subdivision, all the houses don't immediately show up. So we're not too concerned about, it being overwhelming our system. We do feel that we would like to do some work on the pump station that, within about a 5-year period, if all those lots are sold off and people move in, the left station up there will probably need either new pump or a higher capacity pump. So we'll factor that into when we go to sell the lots. Some of that money is set aside in the property development fund to be able to afford that. We had one person who lived up there was talking about lower water pressure. We've never had that complaint before. So I've asked Chris and his group to look into it. Same kind of thing applies. If we find that we need to improve the flow up there, we've got ways to do that. It's also part of the hospital's plan to have a loop system up there, and we can just tie that in to whatever happens with us to our system. We can tie it into what the hospital's doing, and it'll likely help both parties. So it's one of those things where, again, if all 20-something lots were filled next week, I'd be a little more concerned about it, but it is something we'll have to watch, for sure.
Question for the manager. I read one letter that had concerns about emergency services and access for ingress, egress. Are those being considered?
Yes and no. To be clear, the borough has no intentions at this point of building another road. We did not budget for that. You're talking about $500,000 or better to build the road. PIA, on the other hand, has put a secondary access road, in fact, 2 secondary access roads on their strategic transportation plan. So I encourage PIA to also talk to the hospital, where they want to put the hospital, they want a secondary access as well, and make sure we're all on the same page. So I've asked my staff to work with PIA and the hospital to make sure we're all talking about the same thing, and can we make a road, as part of their projects that works for everybody and it provides that secondary access. It's not there right now, and it's not part of the current plan. But again, I think the advantage of some of this is the chance of all these homes being built very quickly is probably not huge, which gives us some time to figure out what we do for the road. But it's not just to be clear, it's not a cheap proposition to build a road. You're talking at least $500,000. The borough has we have to currently would build it just like anybody else would have to, which is dig it out to hard pan and backfill it. So it gets expensive.
I just wanted to voice that concern just for the sake of discussion.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Scott?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have communications. Any correspondence that the Assembly has received since March 13 is contained in this packet. Assembly discussion items. Are there any Assembly member comments?
Yes, if I could, please.
Yes, Member Lynn, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to recognize Carl. The money, the grant that we just received was one that was put into for about 3 years ago. And it was originally to be part of the turbine, but that we had rebuilt. But what that grant does for us, and the fact that he went forward with us, allows us to buy a a new generator or a used generator that we really do need to back up what we have. So I much appreciate Carl's efforts to get that done. It was quite a job to do that. And the fact that we received it really allows us to put the new generator and then to get that up and operational. So we have ourselves better covered. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Member Lynn. Member Valentine.
Recognition, right?
Yes.
I'd like to recognize Clerk Debbie Thompson and Becky. As a newly elected member, they have made it a little easier for me to learn the whole ropes here. So thank you, Debbie, for very long time work, and Becky for, I guess, the future. So thanks so much there. And yeah.
All right, appreciate that. Any other recognitions? Okay. Next, we have could I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.